Hello and welcome to the Section 2.4 lecture today for Algebra 1 Part 1. Today we're going to be looking at a little bit more distributive property. This is where distributive property definitely gets a little bit tougher. And really it comes down to multiplying what we call polynomials, which are items with multiple terms. We're going to look a little bit more at this later on this year, but I wanted to get kind of a quick preview of it here early. So let's go ahead and get started. So when looking at this, if I want to, and you can always break things down this way, if I want to look at what happens when I multiply two things, I can always relate that back to area. Okay, and that's what we're going to do here. So on this one, we're looking at the following rectangle has a width of x plus 2. That's this x plus 2 up top, where we have x, 1 unit, and a height of 2x plus 1. So x, x, and 1. Okay. And for the first thing we want to do, we want to find the area of each part. Okay, so we have a bunch of different parts here, and they all come about by either multiplying x's by numbers, or x's by x's, or numbers by numbers, and the numbers are all 1, so it should be relatively straightforward. This first piece is a square, that's x by x, so when we multiply x and x, we get x squared. This piece is a 1 by x rectangle, so 1 times x is x. Here's another 1 times x, which is x. This is another x squared because it's x by x. Another 1 by x. Another 1 by x. This is another 1 by x going the other direction, but there's no difference there. And then I have these small squares that are 1 by 1. 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times 1 is 1. And then I want to find the total area by adding up each part. Okay, so I have 2x squareds. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 x's, and I have 2 1s. And that would be what we get from multiplying x plus 2 times 2x plus 1. Okay, and we're going to take a look at how that relates to what we would do in multiplying a polynomial by a polynomial, multiplying almost what we're going to consider to be like double distribution. Okay, so we're going to look at that a little bit later. I want to start with the first part. That's when we have a monomial, or a single term on the outside times something with multiple terms. Well, that's just distributive property, and we've dealt with that already. That turns into AB plus AC. Okay, when I have a binomial, or something with 2 terms times something else with 2 terms, it turns into, I'm going to distribute both the A and the B into those parentheses. So kind of a unwritten first step is that I'm going to distribute the A, and so I'm going to have A, and I'm going to write a small step in the middle here, C plus D. So I'm going to take A, multiply it by those parentheses. Since this is a plus, I'm going to say plus B times those parentheses. Okay, so that's a quicker way to expand it a little bit, and we'll look at another way to do it here in just a little bit that is going to make it just a little bit easier. So now we have to distribute again. So this is why it's double distributive property. A times C plus A times D. Okay, sorry. How about A times C plus A times D, and then B times C and B times D. And then if I had to, I would combine any like terms that I had. I just don't have any in this, but that's what it's going to turn into. Now, a quicker way to write that quicker way to do that process is to think about doing kind of those two steps in one. Is to multiply the A by everything, kind of what I started to do, and also multiply the B by everything. And just go in order. Okay, A times C, A times D, B times C, and B times D. Okay. And we'll look at another way to talk about that. But for this one, let's go ahead and do this process of breaking it up first and then using distributive property. So I'm going to take the x and I'm going to multiply it by these parentheses. X times x plus 3. Then I have a minus 2 minus 2 times x plus 3. And now I can double distribute or do my second round of distributive property. X times x is x squared. X times 3 is plus 3x. Negative 2 times x is negative 2x. And negative 2 times positive 3 is negative 6. Okay, then combine like terms if you can. And here we have x terms that we can combine. I have an x squared term and a number term that are just going to hang out. In the middle, I'm going to have 3x minus 2x. 3 minus 2 is positive 1, and that's a minus 6. Okay. Let's try that same idea on this one, so I'm going to break it up twice. I'm going to multiply the x by these parentheses, and multiply the 1 by these parentheses. Okay. Distribute and distribute. Not too bad on distributive property that we're going to see. So I have x times x squared. That's going to turn into, if I think about that, x times x squared. Well, x squared is just x times x. So I really have x times x times x, which is x cubed. X times 3x, well, negative 3x. I'm going to say negative 3x squared. Here, 1 times x squared is just x squared, and 1 times negative 3x is negative 3x. Combine the like terms that we have. I've got an x cubed, I've got an x squared in both of these, and I've got a single x term over here. So I have these two as like terms, which will be pretty common that your middle two terms will need to be combined. Negative 3 plus 1 is going to be negative 2x squared and minus 3x. There we go. Okay, so another way to think about this is to use what we call FOIL, okay, like aluminum foil. But it's an acronym. It stands for firsts, outsides, insides, and lasts. The firsts are the first term in each set of parentheses. So 3x times x is 3x squared. The outsides comes from 3x and 5. So those are both on the outsides of my parentheses, of my picture there. The inside, so I guess backing up, 3x plus 5 or times 5 is 15x. The insides comes from the two that are right next to each other, but in different parentheses. 4 and x. 4 times x is 4x. And then lasts are the second term in each set of parentheses. It comes from the positive 4 and the positive 5. Those multiply to give me 20. And again, we see here that we have like terms right here that we should combine. And that would give us 15x plus 4x is 19x. The other ones just hang out. This will end up being a quicker way to do what we just did. So in the first round, we really looked at multiplying every piece of the first set of parentheses by the entire second parentheses. Okay, here it's a little bit quicker. First times first, 4 times 3 is 12, and x times x is x squared. Outsides, outsides. 4 times 15 is 60, and there's an x, so plus 60x. Insides, negative 6 and 3, negative 6 times 3 is negative 18, and there's an x. And then last, 6 times 15, which is 80, right? No, 90, negative 90. I have a couple like terms here. I'm just going to underline those ones. We need to combine those, and that's going to be 42. So 12x squared plus 42x minus 90. The next one's kind of a tough one. It sort of has a real sly trick that you have to catch up on. When I square a set of parentheses, it's not as easy. It does not equal, I want to make this very clear, it does not equal 2x squared plus 6 squared. Okay, you don't get to distribute the power like that. We have to go back and think to ourselves, what does squaring something really mean? Well, what squaring really means is multiplying something by itself. So this ends up giving me 2x plus 6 times 2x plus 6. There's a reason it comes up in this set of problems. Now I have two things multiplied by two things. First, 2 times 2 is 4. X times x is x squared. Outsides, 2 times 6 is 12. And there's an x. Insides, 6 times 2 is 12. And there's an x. And last, 6 times 6 is 36. Combine the inner two that are like terms. We get 4x squared plus 24x plus 36. Okay. Let's look at these last two. For this one here, first times first is 5 times 5, which is 25. X times x is x squared. Outsides, 5 times 3 is 15. And there's an x on that one. Sorry, that's a 15. Insides, negative 3 times 5 is negative 15. And there's an x on that one. And last, negative 3 times positive 3 is negative 9. Combine the inner like terms. Positive 15 and negative 15 actually cancel each other out. And I get 25x squared minus 9. It's kind of cool. I don't have three things on this one. I only have two. Last one that we have here. First times first. 3 times 2 is 6. X squared times x is x to the third power. Outsides, 3 times negative 3 is negative 9. And there's an x squared on that one. Insides, 5 times 2 is 10. X times x is x squared. And last, 5 times negative 3 is negative 15. And there's an x on that one. My inside two terms do combine. My outside terms stay there. Negative 9 and positive 10 looks like a positive x squared. And minus 15x. There we go. So this set of problems is a little bit more complicated, but it's worth it. It's worth getting that early exposure because it's just multiplication. Now the order matters, right? You've got to make sure that you get all the pieces when you do this, but there's no reason that we can't handle this. Think about FOIL, first times first, outsides, insides, and last. All right. If you have any questions, make sure those go on the left. There'll probably be some questions on this one. Otherwise, we'll see you in class. Have a good day.